Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Going Nuclear, full-blown coverage of the land. I am Ethan Greenberg, and alongside of me is once again Nate Bope. Thank you very much for joining again, me main man. We joined together last week on Good Friday, and we talked a little Thanksgiving action, and we were preparing ourselves for the big Ohio State and Michigan game. That was big
That went
fun.
well.
That was good times. Good times there. So thank you, Mike, across the pond, for joining us here. I know it's getting ready for Cavs basketball tonight, and thanks to my son and his band performance at the pep band at the high school, we'll do the alternate play-by-play. But we're here. All right. Mike is jumping. He's going right at it. Chris Henry Jr. needs to get his head out of his
boy.
ass. He's pissing me off. All right, I agree. Let's hold that thought. Let's put a pin in it here. Everybody. Let's start out with something that is, I suppose, not as big of a story, but is always a story, Nate.
We're just jumping into it here, huh? All right, let's do it.
We're going to go straight into diarrhea is what I'm now calling it. DIABARHHEA, diarrhea, or something along those lines, right?
Sure. Your words, not mine.
It's a real poop show, so it's diarrhea.
You know, I feel like there is not much more that needs to be said about the Browns, other than the fact that they're now activating someone for practice. So that is that's a whole other thing. But I mean, what else do you need to know? The offense is terrible. The special teams is terrible. Myles Garrett can only do so much. The defense is going to keep you in the game. The offense is going to blow it. Had your chances to go get some points. 2 special teams turnovers took us out of the game in the third quarter. What else do you want to know?
Oh, see, exactly. No, you've hit the highlights there from Sunday. It was an absolute debacle, and the season as a whole, it was an absolute debacle. I'm not really so upset about the performance. Sucked. Okay, it is what it is. I know what I find funny, Nate, about the performances, the people who come out online on social media and criticize the play calling of Kevin Stefanski.
He doesn't have the players to run what he wants to do.
Well, no. But hear me out where I'm going with this, Nate.
Sure.
He's not calling the plays.
Yeah, that's also true. It is Tommy Rees, and that's even worse.
So that's what drives me nuts. I'm like, you ignorant bungholes. You're complaining about Kevin Stefanski calling the plays, his play calling, and he's not the one calling the plays. So, that being said, there were I know he still is involved in decisions as to whether to go for it, not to go for it, who's on the field, who's not on the field. We'll get to that in a moment a little bit. There's more drama. Wyatt Teller, his mother is coming to his defense, apparently. Something is not right. And it all stinks. It stinks like diarrhea. And I'm seeing this as a pathway to the stink of firings. It is where I feel like it is headed down that path. I was hoping it wouldn't, but I feel like that's where it's going.
I mean, I really don't have much more to say than what I've said. I'm sure anything you will say will spark conversation, but I mean, it's just, I don't, Mike puts it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, inside the own 32. I mean, just
right. And I
don't know what else to do with this team.
No, there isn't. That's the point. This season is it's a loss.
Well, I think we all knew it was going to be.
I think some of us, myself included, might have been a little bit delusional at the beginning of the season, thinking, hey, maybe we've got some things here. And I do think they have some things, but the offense is so fast.
We can talk about the things that they have.
Right. Some good things, mostly bad things. But no.
I was talking about good things.
Oh, okay. Well, the offense is horrific. It's historically horrific. And I mean, I don't know what you do about that. I don't know how much of it is the play calling. I don't know how much of it is the personnel. I don't know how much of it is the coaches, what they're getting out of their players in practice. It is such a giant mess to clean up there and to untangle. It's all of your cords for all of your devices, and you're sorting through them. Or tis the season. It's the Christmas lights that people are getting out. It's Clark Griswold in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, pulling everything out and trying to untangle it, and then he's plugging it in, and nothing happens. And that's what happens to the Browns offense. You got all this stuff, you plug it in, and nothing happens.
Well, again, when you throw up the string of lights, right, and you're wrapping it around your Christmas tree and you plug it in, right, and you follow the light trail, you're like, oh, wow, this is going well so far. And then the one bulb that's burnt out ruins everything else.
Exactly. And Mike, yes, you're right. I think I might have had them with 10 wins. I was clearly on drugs that day. Yeah. I don't know, but Mike,
I don't know what to tell you there.
Look, I honestly thought there was some hope there with Joe Flacco at the helm, and it was an absolute disaster. But here's a question, though. Why was it so bad with Joe Flacco? Is that because of the receivers, the offensive line? What was the problem there?
So you said about a minute and a half ago, like, is it the coaching staff? Is it the personnel? Is it, all right, we're going to talk about some of the good things that this offense has, all right? Believe me, there are some. Quinshon Judkins.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay, good, great. Like, at the very least, a B draft pick. At the very least. I would give that a solid A. All right, that draft pick, great. You lost Nick Chubb. You had to find someone to try to replace him in. Bam. There you go. Quinshon. That is, thank you for the applause. That's all I hear all the time. All the credit, none of the blame. Quinshon was a home run draft pick. Fannin, there you go. Thank you, Mike. I was about to go there. Harold Fannin, great. A-plus draft pick. I would even go as far to say David Njoku. He has not been as involved in the offense this year as I think a lot of people want him to be, but we have seen what happens when he is, right? So you got a grade A running back that can be a starter. He's probably going to hit 1,200 yards this year, hopefully. At very least, he's going to hit 1,000. Harold Fannin, David Njoku, that tight end duo is flawless, right? Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees is a big problem, and he's been a big problem wherever he's gone, all right? It did not work out at Bama. It kind of worked in a way at Notre Dame, but nah, and it's not working here, okay? I mean, I'm just going to look up where Tommy Rees has been so I can more so jog my memory of the multiple places. Well, hang on, because I literally just pulled it up here.
Oh, you are so good.
Yeah. Let's see. Quarterback coach at Notre Dame then was okay, so that's been it. Offensive coordinator at Notre Dame 2020 to 2022. Meh. Middling results there. Offensive coordinator 2023 at Bama. We all know what happened 2023 at Bama. That was bad. Okay. And was the pass game specialist and tight ends coach last year. Maybe give him a solid grade as the tight end coach, but an absolute F on the pass game coordinator. Now as the offensive coordinator. Look, man, we do not have the personnel that Kevin Stefanski needs to run the type of offense that he wants to run. We do not have the personnel that Tommy Rees needs in an offense to be able to run, which is some dynamic weapons on the outside. Okay. We got the tight ends. I don't even think we got the offensive line that Tommy Rees is used to coaching with at, the offensive line 2023 at Bama was one of the biggest issues. Notre Dame, he usually had some pretty good O-lines there, which is why the results were middling. No, Mike, he coached, oh my goodness. Who was the starter before Milroe? Because Milroe,
that's right.
Did Milroe play for 2 years at Bama? My mind is not working.
I think so.
Okay.
So. Well, regardless, but go ahead, Nate. Finish your thought about.
Yeah. So
weaponry or the lack
Yeah.
thereof?
So the Tommy Rees play calling has been atrocious. I'm never usually one to sit up here and, judge play calling. There's a reason that I have a microphone in front of me and not, a headset in a box with a play sheet in front of me. Okay. There's a perfectly good reason for that. However, does Tommy Rees know that he doesn't have the personnel to run his offense? Does he know that? I don't think he does because he acts like he does.
Yeah, I mean, it's really messed up. I think that at the end of the day, regardless of who is calling the plays, the offensive personnel is so bad that it's very difficult to make it work, right? At the very beginning of the season, I posed the question about Joe Flacco. The offensive line was horrendous. It was way worse than it is now, right?
Yes.
And it was just an abomination. And the receivers, guys, Jerry Jeudy, who's over there yelling at Shedeur Sanders about what to do, what not to do, and what he sees, and this, that, and the other, is the one who's dropping the ball, tipping the ball to the defensive back, whatever it is. You got all kinds of problems there.
When you make a play like you did against the Raiders, I feel like you kind of have to shut up.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Just
so.
saying.
Yeah, no,
Anyways.
no, I agree. It's like you can't even begin to fix it until you get the personnel fixed, right? That's my thought process. So that leads us to a couple things. Why has the personnel gotten so bad on offense? The offensive line is old. We don't have any wide receivers. Now you could point to Andrew Berry not being able to draft. Oh, wait a second. We didn't have first rounders for 3 years because of the guy who just got activated or not activated, but opened the practice window, one Mr. Deshaun Watson. And as a result of that, you look at it and you say, okay, what is the lifeline for this coach and this GM? The GM finally had a good draft when he had some high picks. Finally, the coach had some good seasons at the outset, but has been horrible. And then you have to ask yourself, is it his coaching? Is it the personnel? What the hell is going on during practices that guys are still making the same errors? Why is it that Kevin Stefanski hasn't personally said to Bubba Ventrone, thank you, have a nice day, be on your way, do not let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you?
That guy.
Well,
Oh, that guy might be a threat to national security.
well, but do you remember the whole saga with Joe Woods? It was the same type of thing where Kevin would not fire him.
Yep.
What is it? I love that he's a loyal guy. I hear Gerard Cherry talking about on ESPN Cleveland. He's such a player's coach. Which
is great.
But you got to be a hard ass sometimes.
That might be the one part that, look, I'll sit here and back Kevin Stefanski. I don't think he has the right offensive coordinator. I don't think he has the right personnel to what he wants to run offensively. He doesn't have a good special teams coach. He doesn't have good position coaches. Nobody's coaching his quarterbacks. All right, whatever, right? Like, I'll sit here and defend Stefanski all day. The one part that I kind of can't is I don't think he can look at anybody in the eye and say, I got a problem with you. I just don't think he can do that.
No, he has no equity right now. And he doesn't demand that kind of respect. I know there's grumblings over in Pittsburgh. Over in Pittsburgh, fans want Mike Tomlin fired because they're sick of going above 500 and making the playoffs. Boo-hoo. I understand, though, you want to eventually win. You don't want to be stuck in the middle there. But they really don't know how good they have it. Why don't they come over to the Cleveland side of things for a decade, and then they'll be begging to go back to Pittsburgh. But you talk about a guy like Mike Tomlin, he demands respect. What is his statement? The standard is the standard. We want volunteers, not prisoners. A lot of good sayings from that guy. I got to
Right?
be honest. I got to be honest. And I feel like he could be motivational. Now, that's not saying that he would even come here. There's lots of discussion and debate
No.
about that. All right. And then, so if it wasn't bad enough, what's happening on the field, then you start the drama off the field. Because first, you have, did you see this story, Nate? You and I talked about it a little bit earlier today.
Yeah, if you're going where I think you're going, this is all you.
Dylan Gabriel's fiance.
Oh, I did not see this actually. So still all you. I thought you were going to Whippler, but you mentioned that at the onset anyway, and
I think we were talking about Wyatt Teller. Wyatt Teller's
or
mom,
Teller.
Wyatt
Yes,
Teller's
Teller.
mom is getting into the act. She's complaining about the way he was handled. He was being rotated in and out. And Mary Kay Cabot, I heard her piece. I think she was on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and was mentioning that apparently he's not graded out very well. They wanted him to take a step back to look at things and see if I don't know, see if that could help him at all. I don't know. And they're also getting a look at this other at like KT Leviston, possibly Tevin Jenkins. Not sure what the goal is there. But then he came in. Teller comes back in. He gets a calf injury. So there was lots of conspiracy theories about the way that was handled and this mysterious injury. And they're trying to say he spoke out because they're trying to make it out as if when he answered a question after the Baltimore game about Shedeur Sanders and saying, we didn't even know his cadence. We hadn't practiced with him. Well, I don't think that was a shot at anybody. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
No.
The other story that was burning up the internet was the fiance of Dylan Gabriel. Her name is Zoe Caswell. She's a social media influencer. And apparently, color me shocked here, Nate. She went on to, she posted a clip on TikTok, and it was a caption that said, Browns lost, what's new, with a crying face emoji. And it started drawing a lot of ire from fans. And then she tried to say, and I'm reading this article out of cleveland.com for everyone complaining about the caption. I obviously am cheering for the Browns. It's clearly a joke. If we don't laugh, we cry. And it just kept going on and on. She's getting all this criticism. And then she apparently said she addressed this backlash, claiming she had received disturbing messages in response to her post. She defended Gabriel's standing on a stool within the organization, claiming everyone in the building wants him to play. And then she criticized outsiders for not understanding the team dynamic. So where do we stand on family members getting involved with this kind of stuff? Like, at what point are they going to figure out? And I guess you can't tell someone what to say or what not to say. And you're obviously sticking up for a family member, a friend, loved one, whatever it is. But you have to realize that sometimes getting into these things, it's not your fight to pick. And it only makes it worse for the individual who is actually in the situation. I feel like I would want to express concern if I were on something, and I heard this discussion earlier on ESPN Cleveland. So this is not an original thought, but Nate, if people were going on social media and bashing you, would you not tell your family, like, hey, your girlfriend, your parents, sibling, like, look, dude, if you see anything, do not get involved. That is, I don't want anything going on there. I mean, at what point do you tell them, please, ease up?
So what I'm about to say is absolutely going to contradict what I'm going to say after it, but I'm a family man. I'll always stick up for my family, my friends, especially if I see some BS go down. Like, I'm going to stick up for you, okay? Like, I'm a guy that's going to have your back if I know you pretty darn well, okay? However, that being said, we don't need a softball mom or a baseball dad or any of that. Like, and the reason that I use that specifically is that's just the stereotype, right? Softball moms and dads and baseball moms and dads, you see parents getting thrown out of Little League games all the freaking time, okay? We don't need that. And, I mean, let them fight the battle. Now, to what I have always said to the people out there making said comments, to the people out there that gave Ryan Day and his family death
Yeah,
threats last year,
right.
you're an idiot.
No,
Don't
that's true.
go on social media and hide behind a computer. You're a coward. You're a loser. You probably live in your mom's basement and you have nothing else better to do but to get upset about something that the majority of us sit in bed, think about it for 15 minutes, fall asleep, and wake up and move on with our lives.
Yeah. I think that you're 100% on point. I agree with you completely. I think when you have such high profile people in your lives and it's like she's a social media content creator. Everyone's and it's like I just feel like she should know better. She should know better than to let Dylan Gabriel fight his battles. Let him fight his battle because the thing was, it started with a joke and people don't want to see that. You have to read the room, I guess is what I'm saying. In a vacuum, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Do you kind of see what I'm saying? Like, but you have to read the
I
room.
do. And I'll step up to her defense for a second.
Sure.
Is she's living in a double standard. I mean,
Right.
The fans are going to be out there making memes. Chris McNeil, we love you. But, the fans are going to be out there making memes, and the fans are going to be out there, oh, it's just another day of the Browns. They're going to look at the paper and be like, oh, they lost by how? Oh, well, better luck next time, champ. And then as soon as someone that's associated with the teams, you can't be saying that. You can't say that. What are you talking about? They live the same reality you do, dude. They're not playing on the football field. They're a fan of the team. Just because they are connected via not even a blood relationship, by the way, that they are connected through a romantically ensconced way is ridiculous.
Sure. No, it's the whole the your mama jokes. It's like I can make the your mama joke. As soon as you start talking, hey, we are stepping over line. No,
I could talk about your mom, but once you talk about my mom, hey, we got problems.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. I'm glad we clarified that.
Yeah.
No, it's just one of those things. It's always something dramatic going on over there in Diaberea. And this whole thing with Deshaun Watson getting having the practice window open. It really opens up a wound. Now, it sounded like from the press conference that Stefanski gave that he's just over. He's not taking any of the team reps. He's just doing some individual stuff. They've got 3 weeks in which to decide to activate him or not. If he's not activated in 3 weeks, he remains on the, he's out for the season on the injured reserve. I sincerely hope we don't see him. But I had this thought, Nate, and we'll kind of go with this, and then we'll move on to a much better team, the best damn team in the land, the Ohio State Buckeyes. But could you see a world, the way the salary cap is, they kick the can down the road. They can't just cut him even after the post June 1st cut without it penalizing the Browns. They got another year of this guy. They could cut him. They could just say, we're going to cut our losses, whatever it is. We don't need him in the building, so on and so forth. But do you think there's a terrible world in which they keep him around? Let's say they even get a rookie they've got I could see a world of a rookie in this draft class, either Gabriel or Sanders and Watson. Would you vomit?
Yeah. All right. So no. And I'll tell you why. It's because I fully expect. See, when you expect disappointment, it's hard to be disappointed.
I agree.
I think disappointment in this scenario is keeping Deshaun Watson on the roster. Now, where I would actively try to force my own guts up out of my stomach cavity and through my face hole is if he sees the field this year. If he sees the field this year, I'm going to have a cow. That is the biggest mistake I could ever think in my life. But here is the exact reason that They won't cut him, which they should. We all know that they should. He's a terrible human being. Ever since his Achilles injuries, he's not the greatest football player. So what are we doing here? They're keeping him on because they paid him $250+ million to be on this football team. And they kicked a lot of that salary down the road. So now, I believe, with his restructured contract, they might have, because of deferred money, he might be making $75 million this year.
I think, yeah, and I think it's worse next year. It's like $90 million on a dead cap hit. Something horrible. It's horrific.
Yeah.
Bottom line, it's horrific. The only reason I could see them saying parting ways and saying we're going to eat this money. We have enough young players. We can make this work, even with a dead cap hit. It's better to not have him on the roster as a distraction. It's an all-time bad situation.
I just don't think it happens. I really don't.
I know what you're saying, and I'm right there with you, and I'm ill about it. And I don't think you cannot, for sure, you cannot put him on the field this season, or if you do, it can't be at home. It's bad enough. You think it's bad? Oh, God. You could not do that at home.
Good Lord. Right. I don't even want to think about it.
Right. And quite frankly, I got beef with him for more than one reason, as more than even the reasons you expressed. When Andrew Berry probably and Kevin Stefanski talked to this guy, he probably said, yeah, I can run your offense. And Stefanski said, I can work with this guy. And then he gets here and he's suspended for however long. Then he finally plays and he has to knock the rust off. They stick with the same offensive strategy and personnel, even going into the next season. He eventually starts to look okay, and then he's injured and out. Well, then they're like, well, what else can we do to make this better for you? They switch everything up, and all of this time is going on. The players are aging. And I feel it was disingenuous. If he said, yeah, I can run that offense, and he couldn't, I mean, that's stupid of the Browns to believe him. That's on them for him. It's basically going into, he sold the false bill of goods, apparently.
See, I don't think we're ever going to know whose decision it was to bring Deshaun Watson in.
Right.
That's going to be like a Netflix documentary in 2050, right? Like that's going to be the next, like, untold, this is how the worst trade in NFL history went down. And of course, the Texans got CJ Stroud and Will Anderson from it, and they made the playoffs, and then they beat us in the playoffs. So don't tell me that, oh, well, look at CJ now, look at the Texans now. I don't care. They beat us in the playoffs with those guys. Enough is said.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. I will get around to one thing. I mean, it's always drama in Diaberea. They've got a chance, though, this weekend, taking on the Titans, because the Titans absolutely are horrific.
I'll tell you what. They better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's it. They better. The Jets are now starting to muddle around and find their way to some wins. They're feisty. All right, whatever. You don't beat this Tennessee team, we're going to have some problems.
Right.
Not that we already don't. But we're going to have
and
exponentially increasing problems.
Right. And I think if you lose that game, then in theory, that you might see heads roll. That it might be that bad. I do like Mike's comment. I wanted to get, how about we bench Judy for weeks of bad performances? Now, I understand there were probably some misses on some opportunities for Shedeur Sanders and others throughout the season to make a play to Judy, but he has been lazy at times. He drops the ball frequently. He's not consistent. He is not a true wide receiver one. I would bench him. And that's where it goes back to, all the way back, come full circle, the discussion about the respect for Kevin Stefanski and his style and what he's getting out of these guys. And I think you've got to step up at some point. You need to bench these guys for for play this bad. You need to fire coaches who clearly suck. They suck. That the unspecial teams. How many games we lost because of the unspecial teams?
A lot.
It's asinine. Well, we lost week 1 because of the unspecial teams. We lost last week because of the unspecial teams. Probably, in part, we lost to the Jets because of the unspecial teams. And the poor, and I mean, I don't know. I get exasperated watching these clowns. It's an absolute clown show, but I watch it every week because, well, when the Browns moved in and we didn't have a team for 3 years, those Sundays sucked. Those Sundays sucked. There was nothing. I didn't give a flying rat's ass about the NFL on Sundays because I didn't have a team. And so because of that, I'll never abandon them. Maybe I'll go do some yard work or run to the store and listen as opposed to watching if I have to, but I'm not going to abandon them. I'll be here when they have some miracle over them. But teams that don't need a miracle, Nate, let's move on here and talk. Yeah, thank God. Let's move on.
Oh, been waiting for this one.
Let us change this up. Let us talk about your Ohio State Buckeyes. We will recap here the game. Nate, I guess that was a heck of a ball game.
Well, let me tell you what, it did not start out great. All right. I mean, remember what I said last week, right? Worst case scenario, they get the ball, they go down and score, they force a turnover, they score again. I mean, it happened.
It did.
But here's where it wasn't worst case scenario. The Buckeye defense is fantastic.
It really is. It is amazing. And the fact that Julian Sand was unfazed by the early turnover was clutch. That's really, really important. We're going to need to see that. And as we now get into the gauntlet, we got the Big Ten Championship coming up on Saturday night from Lucas Oil Field, taking on the Hoosiers, and we'll get to that in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then the college football playoff. And in theory, regardless of whether you have a bye or not, you're going to, in theory, be playing the best of the best. Although that's a bit tricky when it comes to whom gets in and who doesn't, because of the rules about, the highest rated conference winner.
Are we going to talk about national? Are we going to move on to get into the national conversation? Because you might not want to give me the microphone if that happens.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna touch on some stuff here, but anyway,
okay. I'll try to just. I'll try to window shop.
Okay, no, I appreciate it. Michigan clearly was outclassed. It was no doubt, but over the past few years, Ohio State has gotten in its own way a little bit, especially last year. Last year was just ridiculous. The year before that, Michigan went on to win the national championship, so not going to take anything away from them, but they've had just too many problems, And there's the thing, Mike, we'll get to this here. Duke, a 7-5 Duke might make the playoffs if they beat Virginia. I don't know. What did you? I guess you touched on the defense there a little bit. What was your thought on the ruling of the Jeremiah Smith touchdown?
Yeah, first of all, I think it is a good interpretation of the way the rule is written, right? Like, let's look at this realistically. The ball was bobbling in his hands. Yes. Okay. Did he have firm control when he crossed the goal line? Hard to say. However, if you even sit there and legitimately believe that ball was ever going to fall out of his arms, you're insane. Like, and this is not Jeremiah Smith taking the football and dropping it Kalen Clay style before the goal line. He had it. The defender pulled his arm. There was no way he was going to lose the football. It never left the basket the entire time, right? Like, that's when you're running with a gallon of milk, a gallon of half full milk, and the milk is bobbing up and down in the container. Well, just because the milk isn't staying still doesn't mean it's not in the gallon. Right. It's still there.
Exactly. No, and I felt he had firm control and possession prior to that and was running and never fully lost it. So I don't understand how him sort of possibly the ball moving and him going across the goal line and into the end zone and then stepping on a boundary would even equate to him fumbling out of the end zone. That is the dumbest thing I quite possibly have ever heard. And the people who want to argue that are out of their minds.
What I will say, I would not have been shocked if they would have overturned it, and I would have sat here today and been like, yeah, I mean, he was bobbling it. The way the rule is written, he didn't have firm control. Like, I would be saying the exact same thing. The only reason that I said what I said is it's not like he's bobbling the football out here, right? He's not like trying to T-Rex arm the football. Yeah, he's got it like right here, dude. So I think good job on the official. It was called a touchdown on the field. If it was called, hey, fumble out of the back of the end zone, you didn't have firm control, it probably would have stood that way.
I would think you would call it incomplete at that point.
No, because he made a football move. He took like 4 steps before he had it.
Well, I guess that might be the type of play that they're going to have to rewrite the rule books.
Oh, there's a ton of stuff they need to rewrite the rule book for, but we don't have enough time for that.
Oh no, we don't. Certainly, that's a whole series. That's a docu-series or something like that. Yeah, it's one of those deals where until it happens, you don't think about it, and you're like, oh shoot, the way this is written, it could be interpreted this way, but they did the right thing there. Then you had the sideline communication go out for the Buckeyes, and they couldn't get the plays into Julian saying. And did you like Ryan Day's comments during his presser saying they were prepared for
I think it's all funny. Now, first off, I'm absolutely not going to sit up here and say, Michigan cut the communication. Like, yeah, how are you going to prove that? Like, it's so easy to prove that theoretically now. It's so easy to prove someone was sitting in the stands with a video camera taking film like that. That in retrospect is easy to prove. It was cold. It was snowing. They might not have adequately prepared for it, which I find personally hard to believe, but I'm not going to go as far as like, see what they're doing. They didn't have Connor Stallions. They're going to pull the communication, see what they're doing. But the fact that Ryan Day had an inkling, I think is weird. I don't know how else to say. I just think it's weird. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think someone tipped him like, Ryan, Michigan's going to try to cheat again. And he's like, don't worry, I got you. That's a coach.
Something. Let me ask you because I don't want to lose this thought. There's two things. Yeah. One is at the time that Ohio State lost their communications, aren't they supposed to shut off the communications for the opposing team as well?
I don't know that.
I thought there was some sort of a rule because you can't have that kind of advantage where, like, if one team's stuff is out, the other team's has got to be out. I thought there was some kind of a rule. Maybe I'm imagining.
There might be. I'm not aware of anything like that.
Maybe it's an NFL thing because communication devices just came into play over the past couple of seasons. Mm-hmm. And is it possible that other teams that played at Michigan said, hey, Ryan, this is going to happen. Be ready. Be ready for this to potentially happen.
I mean, I could not give you a good answer on why Ryan Day just had this Peter tingle, his spider sense go off, his Ryan ripples. I don't know what it is you want to call it.
Whoa. His Peter is tingling. He's got ripples. All right, Nate. Come on now.
Family his spider sense. Whatever.
Spidey sense right there.
I don't know what you want to call it. I think it's hysterical. I think it's funny. I think every reporter in that room was like, okay, Coach Day, sure. All right, sure. I mean, I don't really know what to make of it. I think it's hysterical, though.
It is. What wasn't hysterical was it was actually elation to see the Buckeyes cram the ball down the throats of Michigan. What did they have? An 11+ minute drive from the third.
It was nearly a 12-minute drive.
That is just
20 plays.
They emasculated them. They simply emasculated them. Bo Jackson, 22 carries, 117 yards. He outrushed the entirety of Michigan. They totaled 100 yards. And as you mentioned, and everybody mentioned, the statistic held the team that won the rushing battle, won the game. But those long passes, that certainly helped the case because you get a couple scores and you're like, all right, now we got you. We're in cruise control. And the offense of Michigan, was brutal. And now I understand that Jordan Marshall was barely in there.
He had 1.5 shoulders.
Right. He had a great play to start off, and I'm like,
oh boy.
God, I saw that like you and I talked about from a few years ago. I'm having nightmares of 75-yard runs.
Yeah, Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum and just
I just
no, stop.
Exactly. PTSD right there.
Hassan Haskins. No, wait, please.
Right. No, and I was glad they held them. They bent, but they did not break. They had the turnover. The defense held it together. You give up another field. You're down 6-0 early, but then they went ahead and did what they needed to do. Although getting stuffed at the goal line multiple times and having to settle for a field goal I didn't like that. I don't like our goal line offense in its entirety.
Let's table that because when we preview the Indiana game, I want to talk about that.
Okay.
But I mean, if you'll let me take the floor for like 5 minutes, I just want to go through this game because it was fascinating how it played out. Because again, as I mentioned, worst case scenario did technically happen, right? Michigan busting out these big runs. I talked about it on Friday. They're really good at 3-yard run, 2-yard run, bam, hit you with a 35-yard play. But that was right out of the gate, right? That was the first play from scrimmage. Jordan Marshall found the gap, went through, and every Buckeye fan went, oh no.
It's happening again.
and again, like worst case scenario did technically happen. They got the ball first, they scored, whatever, that's fine. Then, I mean, Ryan Day said before kickoff, yeah, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to take some shots. They did. First play of the game was a go ball to Carnell Tate. Whoa, okay, here we go. That one gets broken up. It was good defense, whatever. Then really good defensive coverage set up by Wink Martindale. We talked about how his NFL mind was going to be a problem. Really, really good coverage scheme. Julian Sain didn't see the guy, came over to the sideline. Jenny Taft down there on the sideline reporting, hey, it was Ryan going up to Julian. It wasn't a panic like, what the hell is wrong with you, kid? It was like, hey, let's just fix it. And Julian was like, I know what I did wrong. And then he went back out there and he balled, man. He was fantastic. 0 for 2 to start the game, 19 of 24 since then. Like, he was brilliant. The go ball to Carnell Tate. Don't know how you lose him. Don't know how you lose Jeremiah on 4th and 5. But and of course, after again, the Buckeyes get stuffed there, 6-3 at the end of one. Even then, you're probably like, okay, you still don't feel comfortable. And then as soon as the 4th down play to Jeremiah gets upheld, because we all sort of held our breath, we were like, uh-oh.
Right.
As soon as it went to review.
Ball. That was a ballsy call.
Oh, it was up. And I'm going to get back to that. But yes, it was Ryan Day and Brian Hartline going for the throw. And they did that. They did that multiple times throughout this game. But then you start introducing Bo Jackson to the world. Put a pin in that thought. I want to come back to that. You throw the go ball to Carnell Tate. Again, don't know how the hell that there's nobody within 10 yards of him. Yeah, I understand. You got to worry about number 4. Number 17 is just as good as the best receiver that Auburn or Clemson or some of these other teams are going to possess, right? If you want an even better comparison, Ryan Williams at Bama.
Sure.
Or Zachariah Branch at Georgia, so on and so forth, right? So I love that they threw that seam route to Will Kazmarek, the tight end. Loved that. But here are my big takeaways from this game. Ohio State physically dominated this game, right? Which we are so used to seeing Michigan just pound it. And for as much as Ohio State did well running the football, do you remember off the top of your head how many rushing yards Michigan had in the second half?
Well, they have like 1, 0. I don't know.
-8.
Oh, fantastic.
-8 rushing yards in the second half. That is unbelievable. You put the ball in Bryce Underwood's hands. You made him win it with his arm, and he can't do that. I guess they don't have enough confidence in him to do that.
No,
this Michigan staff does.
Didn't get it to their best wide receiver.
Andrew Marsh had, I think, 1, maybe 2 targets.
Right.
And
Zero catches.
I
Zero
talked
catches.
about it. I talked about it on Friday, man. He is a 50-50 ball winner. This freshman class, I think Underwood's going to be fine. I think he's going to develop fairly decently well. And Andrew Marsh is going to be a really good wide receiver for him. Well, when you don't trust your passing game, it's a little hard to beat a team that can break you out over the top like the Buckeyes can. But okay, here is my other big takeaway, positive takeaway from this game. And we'll table the negative one until we preview the Indiana game. And I'm also going to add off at this point. There's so much that we can segue in between here, but I have said it all season long. This Ohio State team has dominated everybody, but you still get the feeling that they were holding something back. I even sit here right now after this game. They showed us some new stuff, one of which I'm about to talk about. I still feel like they're holding back, and we'll talk about ways they can let it loose more in the Indiana game, but they did let something loose. They let a certain someone run wild in this Michigan game, and that guy's name is Bo Jackson. This is the first time all year that the Buckeyes have given a tailback more than 20 carries, believe it or not. It's the first time all season that they've done that, and it went to Bo Jackson. The comparison getting made is Quinshon Judkins, right? The way that he's a reliable weapon out of the backfield. He can outrace guys, but he's not as fast as Travion Henderson. He's not as fast as J.K. Dobbins. Like, he's just not a bona fide speedster. I thought he was going to win that race to the goal line on the 35-yard sprint. I definitely thought. I saw him make the little okey doke move, and I thought, yep, he's gone. So, again, that's just Bo Jackson. Sorry, you're a little too slow for my liking. But that's not a dig on Bo Jackson, okay? And that's a joke. Don't come at me, Bo. You have a fantastic name, fantastic player. But they let him run wild. They introduced him to the college football world. He put the college football world on notice. I don't think a lot of people felt like Ohio State was built to do what they did on the ground against Michigan in that game. So that, to me, like, yes, you have all these takeaways. The Buckeyes were finally physical, this, that, and the other. The biggest takeaway for me is they actually let something loose. They let Bo Jackson run wild. And, I mean, throwing the go ball to Carnell Tate was not Julian saying, F it, he's down there. That was intentional, man. He had that ball for not even 2 seconds. He was like, yep, this ball's to Carnell.
Yeah, no,
that's all I got for now. But promise there's more.
I think you've hit all of the high points there. I think the last thing I want to touch on, which was just hilarious, which a lot was made of it in the media, was Michigan defending the M and the jokes that went on with that. The fact that they were they were like, well, yeah, you know what? We don't want you to do to us what we did to you. So does that mean you realize that what you did to Ohio State last year was downright dirty and disrespectful?
No, but I am going to, all right, this might be like a cardinal sin, okay? He's going to defend the maize and blue. I'll put the warning out right now.
All right, yeah, that's fair.
There was an attempt to plant a flag, okay? Let's not sit here and be like, nope, every Ohio State player was like, nah, we're good. Like, trust me. Like, there were some guys that had an Ohio against the world flag, and they were full intending to put that thing right in the middle of that block M. Ryan Day came up to Sharon Moore and said, hey, our boys, I see this trying to happen. I'm not going to let it happen. You need to get your guys off the field now, or there's going to be hell to pay.
Exactly. And what was great about that is the situation was under control, whereas last year it was not under control.
No, and we talked about it. Like, again, police getting involved. It was a mess.
Yes. Michigan put more energy into that than defending their own end zone. Yes. They.
Well, and yeah, I mean, that is pathetic, right? Like, it is pathetic to that look. Like, you go look at college football and all of these hype songs, right? And Wisconsin plays Jump Around, and Alabama plays Dixieland Delight, and Tennessee plays Rocky Top. Like, there's all these energetic, hyping up songs. Ohio State with Seven Nation Army, and then you have Michigan playing Mr. Brightside about some, and like all these other songs like Get Hype, My Life is Great, Screw Everybody Else. Michigan's hype song is about you're married to a girl and the girl is getting by some other guy. That's pathetic.
So they're the
That's
cuck. Are they the cuck in this relationship?
You know what? I was going to not try to say the word, but why not? We've already come this far. That they sing the cuck song at the beginning of every fourth quarter. So so that's one part that's pathetic. It's pathetic that they defended their own M. You know what else is pathetic? Thank you, Mike. Brutus spent more time in the end zone than Michigan did. And it is pathetic to have a mascot, right? Brutus put on a mascot clinic, all right? Any mascots in training, right there. I got a green screen. Edit in the video clip right here, okay? That's what you got to do, okay? Any mascot in training, that's what you got to do. That is trolling 101. And it is more pathetic when a grown man, a Michigan staffer, has to get on his hands and knees in front of 100,000 people. No, don't do that.
No.
So there was also some just generally ballsy stuff that Ryan Day did, right? Michigan getting called for the holding penalty on 2nd and 5. The ref announces it. Yep, repeat 2nd down. And you're like, oh, okay, all right, holding, typical. Ryan Day's like, nah, he declines the holding penalty. He's like, you can't get 5 yards on my defense. And then they don't, and they force a punt off of it. The 4th and 5 play. They ran the ball on 3rd and 6 or 7 or whatever it was, and we're all sitting up here like, why? Like, what do you do? This is the worst play call. And you're like, oh, shoot, he's going to try to go for this on 4th down. That's ballsy as hell. I mean, come on now. He embarrassed Michigan twice. 4th and 5 play and the 2nd and 5 play. Nah, we're going to decline this holding penalty. You can't get 5 yards on my defense. No, you can't.
It was fantastic.
A lot was pathetic.
It was. It absolutely was. But you know what wasn't pathetic? The result. Ohio State avenges a loss. They get back in the W column and finishes the regular season undefeated, 12-0 overall, 9-0 in conference play. And now we move on to the Big Ten championship. And just real quick, before we get to the Big Ten championship and the CFP, today there was a lot of discussions going on, and we're gonna have a heart-to-heart line discussion here because.
We texted a lot, and
we did, and Brian,
and we differ on this, and that's okay. Okay, like I just want the people to know, reasonable minds can disagree.
Exactly. No, my position is I think he could do a better than USF. My other thing that I really wanted to get to was for all this nonsense with the committing and decommitting and flipping. Did this happen 25 years ago where people changed their mind all the time and we just simply didn't know about it because it wasn't publicized? There was no social media. So if a coach got fired, we never knew that they intended to go there 1 minute and then change their mind at the last minute. It's mind-boggling to me. Why is everything such a big deal that you have to announce this and announce that and change your mind? It looks foolish.
I don't know if I can answer that specifically. However, what I will say is, before we even talk about Brian Hartline moving on, college football's got a timeline problem. And maybe I should save it for my going nuCLEar take, because I could go nuCLEar about a couple different things that are going on throughout the college football fandom right now.
You can save it if you'd like to, because that is a good nuCLEar topic.
I'm going to discuss it because I have something else that I'll end up going nuCLEar about. So I'll do a little mini blow up here. College football needs a timeline change. Like, why are we having National Signing Day while the season is going on, right? And you even look at some states, Ohio's still got high school football to play. Texas has still got high school football to play. California has still got high school football to play. Like, everything going, well, maybe not California. I might have just pulled that out of what. But I know at the very least, Ohio, Texas, there's still football going on there, okay? So why are we having these kids make, at this point, the biggest decision in their lives? And I don't care what it involves anymore. Okay. This is the reality of today's age in college football. You want more money? All right, fine, whatever. That is your right to search out more money. I said the same thing about Nico, right? Hey, it's your right to get more money. It might bite you in the end, but it is your right to go search out more money. I mean, if your job gave you the chance to go search for another position that could offer you double what you get paid now, you're in your right to search that, but then you come into work the next day, you might not have a job if they've heard that you've been searching, right? Like, so it's well within your right to do that. It's well within your right to go play for whatever program you want, as ridiculous as it is, and all the hopping around in the transfer portal, and it needs to be regulated in some point. But the timeline is terrible. We are having high school kids make the biggest decision of their football lives. We are having kids that are still on teams enter the transfer portal before a bowl game, before conference championships. We're having coaches search around here and jump from job to job, and exactly what the Lane Kiffin thing is, right? I mean, Lane Kiffin has 5 of the messiest exits in football history.
He's a disaster. I'm sorry. That guy has reaped havoc. He leaves the situation so much. The way he leaves these things, it's messy divorces, like you said. It's terrible. And again, think about the NFL model where if you have a coaching vacancy, one, if a team is still in the playoffs, there's a time frame in which you can speak to that person. You can't hire them. You can ask for an interview. You can do certain things at certain times. And I don't, everything is screwed up because, and I understand, and they talked about this on the radio earlier, it may have at one point had to do with the academic year. I think it's possible so players can get in there for the spring semester and
that's exactly right.
Get a jump on things, but they've got to fix some of this other stuff. That's too problematic the way things are going right now. But we can talk about that. That's a whole docu-series right there. And it's just, but again, it's just to me frustrating that players, Brian Hartline is a hell of a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a hell of a recruiter. Now, if you were that in love with Brian Hartline, shouldn't you be going to USF with him? Yet some of these guys are like Chris Henry Jr., he's talking about flipping. There's discussion about possibly USC. But like, if Brian Hartline was really, you were sold on him, why don't you go to USF? I mean, he's still going to be a coach somewhere. What's the problem here? That to me, it makes it disingenuous to suddenly say, oh, well, he's not going to be there, so I think I'm going to go to this other school down the road, blah, blah, blah. It's like the rest of the program is so damn good. You don't think they're going to bring in another high caliber coach and build this program? Do you not? It just doesn't make sense to me, but maybe I'm off base. I know that obviously when coaches change, they want their recruits, but this is the coordinator.
The perfect example to the whole timeline thing is, take a look at Virginia Tech, right? Like, Virginia Tech fired, hired, and is now recruiting Penn State's recruits all before November. That is a problem, man. That is such a problem. Like, first of all, if you were to tell any Penn State fan who was 34 seconds away from going to overtime to potentially go play for a national championship that their head coach that was coaching that game would be then moving on, and it would be hired in Virginia Tech before Thanksgiving. Like, what? That is the perfect example of how college football has a timeline problem. James Franklin jumped from program to program in about a month, and it was all before the most important month of the season even started. Like, that is ridiculous. I'll touch on the Chris Henry Jr. thing and some of these recruits flipping. I get, like, hey, the coach that recruited me to this program is not there. He really bought into me. I wasn't impressed with anybody else. Or, hey, I want to go be under that guy. Your role is a little bit different when you have to be the head coach of a program. You just naturally have to take a back seat in some things, like Brian Hartline is going to have to do when he puts on the headset as the head coach in Tampa. But I mean, this Chris Henry, I very much so hope comes. And I mean, this decision, I'm sure, is not easy for him. My biggest thing, and again, I'm younger, so this is a younger perspective. He's got to make a decision that's going to fit him, right? Like, if now all of a sudden, for whatever reason, because Hartline is gone, if he's like, I don't know if this is going to be the best decision for me, I mean, that's well within his right. Is it understandable to be upset about that? I think to a degree, but this kid is in high school. Okay, this kid is not a legal adult yet.
Right, and
Like,
therein lies the issue. Therein lies the issue, Nate. Is these are kids. They are kids. When I was that age, when you were, it wasn't that long ago when you were that age. It was a little bit longer for when I was that age. Even though I look quite young, I try to represent at least that well. But
you do it well.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You do as well. No, the fact that when you are a kid, you make hasty decisions and being able to think through them. They talk about the psychology and the full development of the brain. And to try to weigh all this out, it's very difficult. I get it. I really get it. From an outsider's perspective, all I can look at it and say is this: there's a mindset seemingly today where there's a lack of commitment by kids. There's a lack of commitments by kids. You're not all in on a job. You're willing to just quit at a moment's notice, not thinking about bills or being something reliable, whether it be a 2-week notice or all those formal things kind of have gone out the window. It's different. I know times change, but that's my general issue. And then also, as Mike points out, interestingly about Chris Henry, he committed like 2 years ago. Committed. And they got to stop with this. I'm committing to, like,
and let's be real here for a second too, right? Like, to expand even further beyond that, what is the point of recruiting a kid that's still in middle school, which you might be like, whoa, that's crazy. It happens. And then people get upset when a player that now is 18 years old decides to decommit from their university that they've been committed to since they were 14. They made that decision when their brain was half the size.
Oh, absolutely. And then we talked about the parents' issues.
And this is another Nico Iamaliava situation.
I cannot believe that she refused that Legend Bay's own mother prevented him from going there. And if that's that, to me, I don't know what the backstory is. Okay, it seems selfish on its face value. That seems very selfish.
Agreed.
But
it's another softball mom, baseball mom.
Well, we're gonna have to leave it at that. So I don't know. So you know what though, it is what it is. Wherever that's not this year's problem.
Yeah,
that's the future's problem. Let's talk about this year. Let's talk about what is coming up for the Buckeyes as we move on and we talk about the Big Ten and the Hoosiers.
To segue in, first of all, I wish Brian Hartline the best of luck. I think a lot of Buckeye fans knew that this was going to be coming down the pipeline eventually. And to be perfectly honest with Buckeye Nation, however many of you out there may be listening, he stuck around for way longer than I thought that he was going to be here. Like, after he had put, after he had put KJ Hill and Terry McLaurin and even,
Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith, and Jake.
Yeah, Jackson Smith, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. I was like, all right, so they should take him now. And we were lucky that we got Marvin Harrison Jr. We got Jeremiah Smith. We got Carnell Tate. Like, we got all of these guys that came down the line from them. Like, we were very lucky, I think, to have that. And for Brian Hartline to be around for as long as he was. I had long thought he would go take an OC job somewhere, maybe a head coaching role at a program to a similar size that he's at now, maybe a little bit smaller. And I know you differ in this opinion. I think South Florida is a good place for him to start. There are two schools of thought out there, and I think you clashed in our text messages a little bit. So I'm not trying to call you out.
No, absolutely not.
I'm
Okay.
putting the table on the floor. You said both of, well, I think he could get a better coaching job, like go to Penn State. He could have tried to vie for the Kentucky job, which Will Stein ended up getting the OC from Oregon. But then you also wanted him to get more offensive coordinator experience so that he could get that good job. And so that kind of went back and forth in my head a little bit. I think he's in a good situation. You look at what USF has done this century, of course, being ranked in 2007, having some good success in the late 2010s, having some pretty darn good moments with, albeit Charlie Strong. So
I looked that up. I was like, oh,
yeah.
boy.
Yeah, having some good moments with Charlie Strong, being very relevant in the 2020s. And now you saw Alex Golish take a program that was at the depths of college football and turning them around into a team that could very well, if they would have made the American Athletic Championship game, and for a long time this year we all thought, vie for a spot in the college football play.
Very good at the outset of the of the season for sure, and you thought they had a big matchup against Miami, and it did not go their way. Yeah. I look, I just, my own personal thought was like, if he stuck around maybe another year at Ohio State with an additional year of OC experience, in theory, he could have maybe made a leap to a higher profile job immediately. You're right. He may do all right down at USF. I'm sure he'll be a good coach, and the results may be good. We'll see what happens. It's going to be tough. We'll see how his recruiting is. And obviously he's really, I thought about it after we were chatting, and I was considering it. If he's trying to vie for the same type of players that Florida State, and Miami are going for, he might not likely be able to afford them, right? But what he's really competing against is the rest of the American Conference and size.
I mean, look at, even if you want to go on the smaller end of the Power Four, I mean, what are some schools in the area like Georgia Tech? Okay, I mean, you can probably sell Tampa a lot better. Well, Tampa and Atlanta, that might be splitting hairs, but I mean, you get my point. Like, even with some of these smaller Power Four schools, I mean, you could still be pulling talent from there, and the talent pool around Tampa is going to be very rich, right? Like, Tampa is not that far from Miami, which is not that far from Tallahassee. Of course, it's all going to be relative within the state of Florida, as if you're comparing it to somewhere like, okay, I really like this kid in Houston, or I really like this kid that plays for Bishop Gorman, right? Like, everything in the state of Florida, it's a very rich talent pool. You have IMG, that's where Jeremiah Smith is from. You got all these great players to come out of the state of Florida, even as like 3-star recruits, okay? And I mean, Terry McLaurin was an unrated recruit. You see what he's been in the NFL thanks to, one, Brian Hartline. You take a look at some of these other recruits that Hartline has brought in before he started getting the big name 4-star, 5-stars. KJ Hill, Paris Campbell, those guys turned into amazingly talented players. Terry McLaurin, I think, stands out as the biggest example. Jackson Smith and Jigba might as well. I don't remember where he was rated as a recruit.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think he's got everything around him necessary to segue into the Indiana preview. He is going to be with this team through the run of the college football playoff. And while we're sitting here complaining about the timeline, I think the timeline and the way that Ohio State did this, like, yes, it sucks. It's going to cost us some commits. We might have to try to flip some guys and do some extra work there. But being able to do this on National Signing Day might seem like, what are you doing? But you're letting the recruits know, right? Like, you're being fair to the kids and the moms and the dads that, again, are going to have to help this child make this decision on where to go play football for the next, hopefully, 4 years, probably 1 or 2 nowadays. But, and Ryan Day saying all the right stuff, like, yeah, the timing, it is what it is, but, we wish him well. He's done really good things here. Look at all the success he's brought to the program. Fortunate he's staying with us. We're going to help him through the process. Like, Ohio State's doing all the right stuff, in my opinion. And I think they timed it not exceptionally well because, maybe a couple days ago would have been the best timing for this. Give Ohio State a little bit more time to flip these other wide receiver recruits. However, I don't mind the timing that they played out now.
It is what
and he's still with us for the moment.
Right. And everybody's got to focus on the here and now. A good question. Just, do you have any kind of thought as to why they can't get a coach at Penn State?
I don't have a thought on why they can't get a coach at Penn State. And I think anybody speculating is a moron. I think anybody like, Pat Kraft is the problem, which, I mean, let's face it, he probably is. That's the AD at Penn State for those uninitiated. I mean, Pat Kraft might be the problem. You could look and say, well, they're not really offering fair deals. Maybe that's we don't know. We don't know what. I mean, Penn State on the surface is a very desirable job. They're in a very richly talented state in the state of Pennsylvania. Very underrated place for high school football. That state busts out a lot of really good talent.
They do. Heck yeah, they do. They're one of the what? Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, Florida, California are probably the top 5.
Nevada, Arizona.
Yeah, I think those probably the Arizonas and Nevadas might be more of recent, but I really, from what I always was thinking,
Illinois maybe.
But yeah, I hear you. I hear you on that. So what do you think of the Big Ten championship? The last time that Ohio State and Indiana matched up was last season in the regular season, and the Hoosiers were flying high, and the Buckeyes put an absolute molly-whopping beat down on the Hoosiers and Curt Cignetti in Columbus. Of course, their quarterback from last year is not there anymore. He moved on to the NFL. I can't recall it, but he was playing. He didn't both of his Achilles or
Curtis Rourke. Yeah, it was
his ACL. What? Crazy, just crazy what was going there. But what do you make of Indiana and their style, Fernando Mendoza? That just a brief analysis of what could give the Buckeyes problems and where you see the Buckeyes just
to not get too much in depth here early on. This is the best team that Ohio State has played all season, and I know it's really weird to think Indiana number 2 in the country. How seriously should I take them? You were probably thinking that before the Oregon game, and then the Oregon game flipped your mindset, and you were like, "Whoa, okay, Kurt,
go to Austin Stadium and win."
Yeah, to go to Curt Cignetti, Dan Lanning, is a psycho. I think you gotta like him for it. But this is the best team Ohio State has played all year. Period. This might be the best challenger to Ohio State at this current point in time. Don't sit there and think. Now, we'll talk about ways that this game can go here in a minute, but don't sit there and think that, just because it's Indiana, that they can match up decently well with what the Buckeyes have got. Is Ohio State the more talented team? Yeah, but I mean, you look at the quarterback battle, and you're splitting hairs between Fernando Mendoza and Julian Sayin. Elijah Surratt is an elite wide receiver, and while their defense has got maybe some weakness they can exploit on the back end in that secondary, they still got good pieces. The front 7, you got some guys that can absolutely wreak havoc if this offensive line is not having a great day. Indiana is a real problem. And that's exactly why the Football Power Index is slightly favoring the Hoosiers. It's exactly why Ohio State's not a double-digit point favorite here. Indiana is not a fluke. Okay, you might have thought that last year. They went 11-1. They were this nice story, then got boat raced by Notre Dame in the college football playoff. This Indiana team is legit. They are much better than they were last year, and this is a team that is going to give fits to anybody they play in the college football playoff, and they could do it here on Saturday.
And well, let me ask you this, and I could see out, people who aren't as invested as someone like yourself in diagnosing these games and watching them all. If someone were to simply look at it and say, whoa, Indiana struggled and had to pull one out of their butt against Penn State, and Ohio State beat the snot out of Penn State. Should we really be scared that they were one, really hell of a catch in the back of the end zone?
Catch of the year in my book.
They got their butts pulled from the fire. They were about to lose that game at Happy Valley, and I just wondering, as someone, like I said, you obviously know this better than most, and have invested time in researching and watching all this. So I just would be curious, like if the casual fan says, well, look at what they did against Penn State and how they struggled, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to go look at the Illinois scores and look at how much they beat the Fighting Illini by versus how much the Buckeyes beat the Fighting Illini by. You can look at the same conversation with Purdue and maybe one or two other opponents that Ohio State and Indiana have in common this year. So I think that's the stupidest argument because, Buckeyes got Penn State at home. Penn State was already kind of reeling. They still threw everything in the kitchen sink out. Ohio State's just a much, much better team. Then you had Penn State going back home. They were throwing more of the kitchen sink out there. Things started to work a little bit better. Like, you can explain all of that away, right? And the beauty of it is, it's college football, man. Like, just because, any given Saturday, right? Like, this is exactly why, go back. PTSD is going to come back, but 2014 against Virginia Tech, you play that game 100 times, Buckeyes probably win 90 of them. But it's those 10 times, or, you look at the game against last year. You look at the game against Purdue in 2018. Like, right. You play that game multiple times, Buckeyes are going to win the majority of those, but it's the any given Saturday mentality. You catch someone on a good day, you catch someone on a bad day. Like, that does not matter. Okay. Well, what you got to look at is the way that these teams are built and the way that these teams match up against each other, which I'm sure we'll get into momentarily.
Yeah, absolutely. Break it down, my friend. I think that Ohio State you've talked about this, and I agree with your opinion that pretty much Ohio State hasn't put it into 7th, 8th. They're getting their high speed, their Lamborghini, their Ferrari out there. They haven't even reached the top gears. And so now the question is, what if they start to exert themselves more? Can they do that? Can they continue to pound the rock and pound teams into submission after they beat them down through the air? Are they going to continue to play such strong defense? I'll just be real curious to see what Indiana can do against Ohio State. I think it's probably, like you said, it'll be the best challenge for Ohio State. It probably will be the best challenge for Indiana. Even
absolutely,
though Indiana goes to Autzen Stadium and wins in Oregon. That's regardless. Oregon is a tough place to play. That is just a brutal place to play. Hell of a home field advantage. So I don't know. I guess I'm in that mind. Maybe I'm in the majority where I can't yet take Indiana for real. But I should.
Yeah, you absolutely should. So, when you break this thing down, like, Indiana's got the second best scoring offense in the country. They score nearly 45 points per game. The only team that sits above them are the North Texas Mean Green with that high-flying passing attack and Drew Mestamaker. I think they're going to win the American Championship for what my money's worth, and they're going to get into the college football playoff. I think they beat Tulane. And Indiana's got the second best scoring defense in the entire country. Now, the way and the exact reason why this game is tricky for Ohio State. Ohio State has played good rushing attacks on the surface, right? They've played Penn State. They've played Michigan. They've played these teams that over the course of the season have proven, hey, we can run the football better than most. Ohio State's also played teams that can throw the football better than most, right? And sure, it wasn't that much of a factor when they played Texas, but you look at the way Texas has manufactured throughout the season, they don't have a run game at all, but they can throw the football pretty well. And Ohio State has played some other teams like that this season as well. Ohio State has not played a team that you have to respect both. Like we were sitting here talking about the Michigan game, make Bryce Underwood win it with his arm because Michigan just doesn't have a passing attack that you're going to legitimately sit there and be like, well, we should be scared of that. Indiana, you have both. Now, Indiana has also played some top 10 passing defenses, of which Ohio State is, right? Ohio State is one of the best passing defenses in the country. In fact, they are the best. They only allow 121 yards per game through the air. The next closest team is Nebraska, and they allow 140. So this Buckeye secondary is fantastic, but Indiana has faced two other teams with a top 10 passing defense. That was Oregon in Autzen, and that was Iowa in Kinnick. Here's what Fernando Mendoza did against both of those. Under 250 yards, 1 touchdown against Oregon, 2 touchdowns against Iowa, had decent enough completion percentage, but it's not going to jump off the page at you, and threw a pick in each one of those games. Plain and simple right now, the biggest key for the Indiana Hoosiers, if Fernando Mendoza is going to have a game like that, Indiana's not going to win this football game because I don't think Indiana has got the horses necessary to line up toe-to-toe with what this Buckeye front 6 has looked at you and thrown at teams all season and say, okay, this is not Fernando Mendoza's day. We're going to run the football to win this game. Now, can they? Sure, it's a possibility. Again, Indiana's a unique team compared to what Ohio State's played. They have enough to make you respect what they can do on the ground and through the air. And that's going to open up a lot of things for this Hoosier team. Buckeyes have not allowed a team to score over 17 points, 17 or more points this year. I got a pretty good feeling Indiana is going to break that. Indiana's going to be able to break some things and show out some weaknesses that maybe are prevalent within this Ohio State secondary. Maybe find that soft coverage in the zone or be able to find that open man. And Indiana's got 50-50 ball winners. Elijah Surratt is an elite wide receiver in this country. Omar Cooper, the catch against Penn State speaks for itself. And they got some dudes just all over the field. So Indiana proposes a unique challenge to this Buckeye defense. Now, again, this is the Buckeye defense that just quite simply has been dynamic, dominant. They're the best pass defense in the country. They're the 4th best rush defense in the country. They only allow 81 yards per game. It makes for the best defense in the entire country. They allow just barely over 200 yards per game. Now, one big key, I think, for this game for both sides is the third down battle. Because you take a look at third down defense, Ohio State has only allowed opponents to convert 27.5%. Indiana, 27.7%. So something's got to give, right? Like if both of these teams are going to be awful offensively on third down, either due to their own part or mainly because these defenses are pretty stinking good when it matters, then this is going to end up being a dogfight. But there are a couple things here that I think sway Ohio State's favor. I'll let you put some input in them before I say what they are.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously an expert analysis there, Nate. Really, you nailed it there. You look at these teams, it is, like you said, it's going to be a dogfight. In fact, one thing I did want to, mention here, awards for Big Ten awards came out today.
I think Buckeye swept.
Well, I know that, let's see, Coach of the Year is Kurt Signetti.
Good.
That both the coaches vote and the media vote there.
Well, as it should be.
As it should be. Trying to look here, Caleb Downs, the defensive back of the year. Let's see, Arvell Reese, the linebacker of the year. Defensive lineman of the year, Caden McDonald. Defensive player of the year is Caleb Downs. I mean, that's pretty impressive. It's going to be a hell of a game. I am looking forward to it. Win or lose, I certainly hope that the Buckeyes win. And here we go, Mike with the goods, first ever to sweep the awards. Yeah, I mean that's pretty impressive here.
Yeah, it's great.
It's very impressive. So I think that, again, the one thing I noticed in the stats, it's an anomaly. It might be an anomaly here. Fernando Mendoza got sacked 5 times against Wisconsin. What the hell happened?
Yeah, I mean that was one of those sloppier games. I don't think it was one where Indiana played the best.
But he was 22 of 24.
Yep, and see that's.
I mean, they sacked him 5 times, but he had 4 touchdowns, no picks, 22-24, but he got sacked 5 times. I'm wondering how Luke Fickell and his staff dialed up pressure. Maybe there's something there that they can get to him. It's going to be a great game. That's what I know. I'm glad they're there. I think they've got a lot that they want to accomplish still. I know there's a lot of debate about playing in the game. Do you rest guys? Do you not rest anybody? Will you drop out of a first round bye in the college football playoff? I think Ryan Day, I know the end goal is to win the national championship, but he has those list of goals. I think we talked about it. Beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, win the national championship. Well, they beat Michigan. Now it's a chance to win the Big Ten title. And I don't see him suddenly taking his foot off the gas because if you win, you for sure have the bye. And then you've got a few weeks before you have to play again. You have an additional.
You're going to have like a month, man.
Well, it's December 30th. So you're going to play this week.
Yeah.
You're
about 3 weeks.
Yeah. Just over 3 weeks.
3.5 weeks.
Yeah. December 31st, whatever it is. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be good. I'll let you give your kind of just give us your final shot on your
sure.
on this game.
Well, so again, third downs are going to be the big key here, right? Because both teams' third down defenses are exceptional. And I'm going to look at third down offense here for a second as well. Wouldn't you know it? They're the best 2 third down offenses in the entire country. So something has got to give on third down, right? I mean, these are 2 top 5 third down defenses, and they're the best third down offenses in the entire country by a wide margin, mind you. Like Ohio State's at 56.9, Indiana's at 56.6. The next closest team is Vanderbilt, and they're at 53.2. So it is a wide gap. These 2 teams have separated themselves from the pack in college football this year. And I do just find it a little bit weird where there's not a lot of people talking that this is 1 versus 2. In fact, College Game Day missed the mark here. They're going to Atlanta. Whatever. I'm not going to dwell too much on that.
I'll tell you why they're going to Atlanta, and I think you're right.
Well, because it's an ESPN game.
It's an ESPN game, and the Big Ten championship is a Fox game. That's why they're in Atlanta. In that, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so a couple more things here before we start talking about what's going to happen in this game. There is an X factor that Indiana can rely on here, right? And I mean, just to throw out some names here, defensively, you've got to try to make life as uncomfortable as possible for Julian Sayin. When you look at sack leaders, Elijah Hardy is absolutely fantastic. Aiden Fisher is fantastic. They got a lot of guys up on this defensive front. Tyreek Tucker, Stephen Daly, former Kent State Golden Flash, by the way, Mario Landino. Like, this team has gathered 34 sacks on the season. They have been really good about getting pressure in the face of opposing quarterbacks. In fact, I will look right now they have the 14th most sacks in the country. Yep, 14th most sacks in the country. Now the Buckeyes again have another really good sack number. They've garnered 30 this year. So you've got to make life uncomfortable for the opposing quarterback, but that's especially true for the Indiana defense because Sayin doesn't get rattled. Like, he threw a pick on the second play of his first ever rivalry game on the road in front of over 110,000 people. If that didn't rattle him, there's no way that anything against this Indiana team will. It's just not going to happen. You have got to be able to provide some pressure. Now, here's the other thing that the Hoosiers can try to exploit. If Indiana wants to win this game, I mean, they got to prove they can go toe for toe. I think in some ways they're going to do that. They've got to win that turnover margin, but they've done it all year long. Indiana has the best turnover margin in the country. They're plus 17 on the year, and their secondary has forced 16 interceptions. So when you're throwing these go balls up to Tate and Smith, I mean, they are go ball getters, and they are 50-50 ball winners. 50-50 balls become 95-5 balls when you're throwing to 4 and 17 that are going to be wearing the home scarlet jerseys here. Indiana's got some things on the back end you can exploit. Yes, the stats say what they say. Indiana's a good pass defense. You take a look at film and you think, okay, there are some things that you can exploit here. But, man, you're starting to throw up prayers in late game scenarios. It might not go too well for you. You've got to try to find ways to get things open, get Julian Sayin comfortable. So that does concern you. However, if you want to move into putting a feel out on this game, right now, I would if you're going to ask me Ohio State versus the field, I'm taking the Buckeyes, because as I have said multiple times, and I will keep saying it, Ohio State has looked like the best team in the country all year long. They passed the eye test. They've dominated everybody. Oh, and you still feel like that there's more to give.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with the way that Ohio State has been dominating opponents this season, are there things that Indiana can look on the other side of the field at and be like, yeah, we can try to get ahead of this, right? Like, hey, this defensive front, like, let's be honest, right? This defensive front for the Buckeyes is not star-studded. Caden McDonald is great, and Caden Curry has had a fantastic year. But this defensive front is really not as talented rawly as what you had last year. And sure, the Indiana offensive line has been shaky, but it's been solid enough to where you can give Fernando Mendoza some good protection. So as long as you keep a clean pocket and let Mendoza pick apart this defense, maybe that's something that you're going to try to look at there. Maybe you can look at pushing this defensive line around a little bit. Maybe you can just throw these 50-50 balls up to whoever Davison Igbinosun happens to be covering. And if he doesn't get his head around, it's going to be a pass interference flag every single time. So, who knows what Indiana is going to see in film in ways that they can attack. I think it's going to be really hard for them to do that. But I do think that this is an Indiana staff, especially a head coach in Kurt Cignetti, that is savvy enough to find ways to get around what this Buckeye defense is going to throw at you, right?
Yeah.
This is a Buckeye team that's just got too many weapons, man. And they have been putting on clinics all year long. To Mike's point, yes, again, this defensive line, I just don't think is as talented. It is playing really, really well and a lot more consistently than what last year's team was. And the defense as a whole, didn't think this was possible. It is better than last year's team, which again, I think this is an Indiana coaching staff that is savvy enough to find a way to generate some offensive flow here. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. I think they're savvy enough to do it, but it's going to be really hard because this is a Buckeye defense that plays really, really well. I mean, you got to get exceptionally nitpicky with anything that this Buckeye defense does. Offensively, you let Bo Jackson out of his cave a little bit last week. I think you're going to see them do that again this week, and I think you're going to see this passing attack take a lot more shots. Now, could that work against you? Absolutely. But you know that this Buckeye team is saving something. There has been nobody that has planned better in the country than Ryan Day and Kirby Smart at getting their teams to play better and having their teams show you things that they didn't show you in the early part of the season. And that's where these two head coaches just impress so much. It is absolutely that case, right? So I think the Buckeyes have more to show. I think they're going to show more. And again, could Indiana win this game? Absolutely. That would not shock me. Or I think Indiana can win this game. I'm taking the Buckeyes. This is a team that is, I think, going to continue to show us more and more. It's a team that has a defense that I think Indiana will generate some offense. Okay, you're a moron if you think Indiana's not going to find ways to break into that end zone. And red zone could be a big key here, right? Buckeyes have had some struggles in the red zone this year. Well, wouldn't you know it, Indiana's only allowed 5 red zone touchdowns all season. So these red zone defenses are going to pit head to head. Indiana by far and away has got the better red zone offense. So you've got to be able to take advantage of your chances when you have them. I think trying to punch it in with CJ Donaldson on 3 consecutive plays, maybe run that tight end clear out route that you often see Ohio State running with. And hey, they can use it to generate 15 yards. Well, when you need one, fake the handoff to CJ Donaldson, flip, there's Will Kazmarik's, Max Clare, so on and so forth, right? To wrap up my point, and to, I guess, finally finish it, this Buckeye team is just going to show us the best version that they've showed us all year. And I still think we're going to come out of this game at Indianapolis and say, they can show us more. So I got the Buckeyes winning this game. I'm going to have them covering the right now current 4-point spread. It opened at 6.5. It has only started to shrink, but I'm going to take the Buckeyes to win. I'm going to take the Buckeyes to cover. I think Indiana might be the biggest challenge, maybe besides Georgia, that can run into this team all season long. But I do firmly believe that Ohio State will show us more, will prove their might. Indiana, much like they did against Oregon, will prove they belong at the top of the conversation in college football. The Buckeyes will walk away Big Ten champs. And on the coaching thing, you're going to get both of these teams' best shots. Both of these teams are going to play, not necessarily like it's their Super Bowl. I don't even sense that you're going to get that out of Indiana, which is weird to say, right? It's the first time they've been here. It's the first time they've been this good ever. And now they get a chance to play in a Big Ten championship in their backyard. I mean, yeah, man, this is Indiana's Super Bowl. They haven't beat Ohio State since the 80s. Like, this is Indiana's shot. I don't sense that from this Indiana team. I think Curt Cignetti's team has a legitimate shot to go win a national championship. And I think that he is going to show his guys that, hey, look, man, this is the Big Ten championship we can win. We're obviously aiming to win that. We're aiming to win this national championship too. I think Curt Cignetti's got all the same goals in mind that Ryan Day does. But to think that any team is going to lay dead in this game, because it doesn't matter. Both teams are going to get a first-round bye, which is true. Both teams will get a first-round bye. They're the only undefeated teams in the country, and they're playing against each other in a game that only 2% of the country is getting to play in, right? So to penalize them and to fall out of the to fall out of the top 4 for either of these teams is ridiculous. So Ryan Day knows how to make his team play when a trophy is on the line. And yeah, there you go. I definitely have done way too much talking. So,
well, you are thorough. You are thorough, and you are giving the insight that it's beyond. It's something that people from the outside, a casual viewer is not necessarily even thinking about all these things, but they're all great points. And I just think it's going to be an excellent matchup. And I'm going to be very curious to see what happens. If anything major happens, like if perhaps Duke upsets Virginia, and the fallout of potentially seeing an ACC team not get in. There's some wackadoo conversation or formula about how that could happen. I can't wait. If that happens, it would be quite possibly the funniest thing ever. It might quite possibly be the funniest thing ever. And with that, speaking of things that are funny, I think what we need to do is after the Big Ten championship and we get through Big Ten championship weekend, we will revisit and go forward with the college football playoff. But you know what, Nate? What I want to find out right now from you, sir, is, in fact, what has you going nuclear this week?
Well, it is the college football playoff, and it is the people of the college football public and the college sports fandom that, to me, just make no sense, right? So before I go full nuclear here, you look at March Madness, okay? Why do we love March Madness? We love March Madness for the UMBC stories, for the St. Peter stories, for the Fairleigh Dickinson stories. We love seeing that underdog team take out Big Bad Duke or Virginia or Purdue and going on this magical run, right? So now college football is different. The biggest argument made, and I think Steve Sarkisian has a legitimate point, right? Like, his Texas Longhorns have a great body of work overall. You shouldn't be punished for playing these non-conference games, and they're not. They're being punished for losing to 4-8 Florida.
Exactly.
And Alabama's being punished for losing to a terrible Oklahoma team last year. And by the way, that word terrible gets thrown around in very, very very just sequestered things, right? So, like, to say, you're going to hear fans say this, right? Like, oh, well, Virginia is terrible. Well, if they're terrible, why are they about to win the ACC?
Because the ACC is terrible.
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
But I mean, like, let's compare Virginia to Western Michigan, who can very well go win the MAC. Like, in a vacuum, Virginia is going to thrash Western Michigan. I mean, in a vacuum, sure, Ohio State's going to kick the living hell out of the Virginia Cavaliers if that's a potential playoff matchup. But, why don't we compare these teams to the rest of the country? So that's another tangent that I could go on. But as far as the college football playoff, like, Texas is getting judged based off of that terrible loss to Florida. And what if the chaos scenario does happen? It would play out like this. It'd play out like Duke beating Virginia and then James Madison winning the Sun Belt Conference championship game, right? Oregon, I'm sorry, Mike, is not going to get knocked out. Oregon is in. There is not much that you can do about that. The Ducks are going to be going to the college football playoff. But it's the Notre Dame-Miami situation, right? Like, Notre Dame is a better team than Miami, I think most people would feel. Now you have this certain section of people out there saying, well, because Miami beat Notre Dame's got to me, a better, maybe not necessarily body of work, but okay, yes. Potentially, maybe. We'll see. I mean, Bob Chesney is a good coach. So, Mike, we will see. Just the way that we throw college football into this vacuum, right? Of, well, I don't like that SMU made the playoff. I don't like that Clemson made it. Why a 2 group of 5 teams? Now, I mean, we're really, really getting insane here. Like, why should college football be any different? The people complained about seeing the same 4 teams over and over and over and over. And now you're not complaining when we're seeing those same 4 teams. Like, you are complaining that we're not seeing the powerhouse teams in. If that's the case, go look at the blue chip ratio. Let's throw every team with the 12 highest blue chip ratios into the college football playoff. It's going to be the same teams every year, but that seems to make people more happy than, I don't know, giving James Madison a shot, giving North Texas a shot, giving Tulane a shot, seeing what happens with Virginia. I mean, who knows if we were talking about the season playing out in a different way. Folks, we could be looking at Vandy and sitting in the college football playoff here. Like that's a legit thing that could happen. So to put college football in this vacuum really irritates me, to the fact of, like, look, man, like, you're going to, like, the best team and the team that is most built for a season of this length and this caliber is going to go win the national championship, unless Virginia or North Texas or James Madison get on this monster run. Like, they're not winning the national championship. Okay, so the argument is, why even put them there in the first place, right? Because they earned their way there. If you want to make the college football playoff, don't lose to 4-8 Florida. If you want to make the college football playoff, don't go on the road. Vanderbilt, I think, has a pretty legitimate case. But then to Miami, like, Don't lose to a Louisville team that has sputtered throughout the tail end of this season. Don't then turn around and lose to, I don't know, an SMU team that, okay, I mean, they very well could have made the ACC championship game. It's just putting college football in its vacuum is so far beyond me. Like, why can't we just sit back and enjoy the spoils that we get out of this 12-team playoff?
Yeah, Nate, that is well said, and a great point there. There's going to be somebody, unfortunately, left out of the mix. There is no perfect
Always
solution.
is.
This is a much better solution than what we had in the past. I like that we've expanded it. And again, don't lose those games to the opponents that you absolutely shouldn't lose to. And you won't be thinking about this or having to worry about this. We'll see how it all plays out here. And I think most times it's gonna be right, and the best teams are gonna end up there. It's just how it goes. So what has me going nuclear is kind of a completely different topic, which we didn't talk about, but I'm watching it right now, or at least I'm keeping track of it.
Yeah, I sadly have been too.
The freaking Cleveland Cavaliers have me going nuclear. I don't know what is wrong with them. I don't know why they are asleep. I don't know why Jalen Tyson has to be the guy who's coming out in public and calling out the rest of these veterans and the rest of the team. What the hell is happening? These guys act like they can roll the ball out onto the court and they're going to be deemed the winners. This is a bunch of 5 or 7 and 9 bull bleep, to quote a Browns season. This is 1-15 bull bleep. The Eastern Conference is there to be won, and they are sucking. They are sucking. And I just don't get it. Where is the mentality? Where is the mentality for this team? I expect, we talked early on about having no expectations for the Browns. I got sucked in. I have expectations for the Cavs. And
we all did.
And it has me going nuclear. I know we are only a quarter away in the season, but I see some things I do not like. We are losing at halftime to a crap-ass Portland Trailblazers team. And again, we're going to have to rip it up and grab it from the jaws of defeat to try and get a win tonight at home. So the Cleveland Cavs, you have me going nuclear this evening. So, Nate, before we get off, tell everybody where they can find you, and then we will close it down tonight.
At Tailgate Nate 29 on most social medias, Tailgate Nate on YouTube. And if you're the radio listener, which you should be, radio is not dying, by the way. It is very much so thriving. peakofohio.com. Listen to me on any of the various streaming services that you see up there, the radio streams. Look at some of the articles I write. I do a lot of cool stuff. College football YouTube is obviously going to be big. We're trying to structure a live show to get put out. I'm going to hopefully either tomorrow or Friday night at around 8:30, somewhere around there. I'm going to play around with StreamYard later on tonight. So we'll see.
Hey, that sounds good. And don't forget, Prospects of the Land.
Yes, Prospects of the Land with the Baseball Banter podcast. And a lot more coming with them too. So
absolutely. That is going to be great stuff. Nate, thank you so much for being here tonight, providing all the insights. I love it. This is good times. I will be looking forward to talking about the college football playoff.
Yes.
And everything else that's going on in baseball.
And,
the Lions, Prospects of the Land, and more.
Yeah, Prospects of the Land Sunday, by the way. We're gonna run a Guardians preview on Sunday. So that's breaking news to you, but get ready. We're doing a Guardians preview Sunday. So
I'll be looking forward to it. It'll get me out of the mode of crying after another ridiculous performance against Tennessee and the Browns, whatever the case may be. No, sounds awesome. Nate, thank you so much for being with me again this evening. It was short.
Hey, you know what risk you take when you pull me onto a show. So
I love it. I do love it. It is fantastic, sir. Look, have a great rest of your evening. Have
you
fun
as well.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure I'm going to have to go pick up a child from the high school basketball game. Get done doing a little pep band there. We'll go pick them up, see how badly the high school did there. It'll be fantastic. So again, for Nate Bope, I am Ethan Greenberg, and you have been tuned in to Going nuCLEar, full blown coverage of the land.